I don't know about you, but as a business owner, I have very, very, very limited time. In particular, in this season of my life, I've got a baby and a toddler, and life is hectic. And so I need to be strategic around how I'm designing my graphics. As a business, I have tons of graphic needs. I have social media posts, I have presentation slides, I have lead magnet design, I have all these kind of graphics that I need to be making quite regularly for my business to keep up with things, to keep up with changing world, to keep up with the changing trends, to keep up with my audience and making sure that I'm still keeping in front of them. And it can get quite monotonous. And as a graphic designer, gratefully, I quite enjoy doing designs. But for those of you who either don't love doing designs or don't have a ton of time for it, I want to give you a couple different tools that I use to help design to be quicker for my business so I can spend the time on the most important things. So hi, if we haven't met before, my name is Jackie and I am a graphic designer who loves teaching business owners how they can strategically use design and Canva and all things pretty to work strategically for their business, to help the business to grow, to help the business to connect with people, and to help them to feel proud of their business too. Because if you've got an ugly business, then chances are you're not showing up the way that you want to be showing up. As a business owner, you've got so many tasks you need to be doing, and it can get really overwhelming. There is emails, there's marketing, there's serving your audience, there's making the product or service, doing the tech, doing the everything. And design can often fall to the bottom of the barrel, but design is a key element to most of your marketing efforts. Not many marketing things that we can do doesn't have images attached to it. And so it's important that we don't let design fall to the side, because it's a way that we can get our business out there and find more clients to work with, and aka bringing more money for our business. And I see a lot of business owners coming to me all the time saying, Jackie, I'm just spending hours on Canva. I'm spending way too long. I don't know how to make it quicker. I'm just wasting so much of my time. And successful entrepreneurs, they're not spending hours in Canva. They don't have time for that because they're spending money and time in their zone of genius. They're spending their effort there. And so I want to teach you a few ways that you can spend your time in your zone of genius and have Canva taking less of your time so that you can still use it for your advantage, do other things that are actually bringing you joy and making you money. And especially because the online world moves so quickly. You've got changing trends, you've got changing landscapes, you've got client expectations and demands, and changing things that people want to hear from you. Like when like something topical happens in the world, you might want to do a particular post, or you have a client DMing you about a particular pain point or a particular objection to your product or service, and you want to make sure you're getting a post out there quickly to help them or to answer their questions or to help other people that might have the same questions. And so it's really important that we can move quickly in design, not just that we can save time, but so that we're keeping at the forefront of the market, so that we're seen as the experts in our field. And so you can obviously outsource your designs to a graphic designer, but unless you have an in-house designer working for you, the chances of that being a quick process is quite slim. Like even if you work with My Design Studio, you've got to fill in their intake form, you've got to got a contract and get an invoice, and you've got to fill in the form of what you actually want, and then we've got to actually start designing for you. We've got to have room in our schedule to design for you after all the other clients that have already applied to work with us. Then we've got to go back and forward, make refinements, and then you get your graphic. That could take up to 2 weeks, potentially more. And by that time has happened, you've lost the momentum in your business. And so it's really important that as a business owner, we know how to do our own graphics and we know how to do them well. There's a whole other point I could make around making sure that your designs look professional, because if they're not looking professional, they're going to be missing the mark and not growing your business. But beyond that, we need to make sure we're doing them quickly. And so here are my tips for making sure your business is moving quickly, especially when it comes to design. So the first tip is to schedule it in. Nothing saps more time from our business, and this goes across all of our business's tasks. You can take this and apply it to anything you're working on in your business. If you're just flitting around to lots of different tasks all the time and you're not giving one task your dedicated energy, firstly, you're not doing that task as well, but you're also, it's taking you longer. If you're changing your focus all the time, your brain needs time to catch up and change its focus as well. And so it's better to actually schedule in time to work on your designs, to work on your promotion, to work on whatever you're working on, and do that well for whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's an hour, whatever that chunk of time is, to do that well and to schedule that in. And that will help it to feel less overwhelming and like it's always over your head. And it's more like, actually, I've scheduled in time on Wednesday to do this, and it's going to get done then. I don't have to worry about doing it other times. I can just make sure I smash it all out in that time. And if you feel like you can't smash out all of your design needs in one chunk each week, for example, then what you can actually do is schedule like tasks together. For example, when you're doing a social media post, it's not just about making a Canva graphic and posting it. There's so many other things that come together with that. So what you can do is schedule each of those like tasks. So you do one like task at a time, and that way you're doing a really good job of that, and that's done. So say, for example, you might want to collate all the inspiration for your posts for the next month. Say, for example, on Instagram, often I'm saving people's posts that I find inspiring, that I love the layout of, that I like the messaging of it. Whatever it is, save posts when you're scrolling on Instagram and come back to those at a particular point in time and collate all your inspiration and get some ideas of the kind of content you want want to be sharing. And that could be one of your tasks. You might just do that once a week or once a month or once every 6 months even. The next like task might be planning your overall content strategy for that week or that month, however often you're scheduling out things. And so you could say, I've got like a promotion for X product or X course or offer coming out, and you can work out what your actual overall strategy is. So rather than just posting haphazardly all the time, which doesn't really get much traction, work out what you're wanting to promote and work towards that. So jot down all your ideas and plan out what you want to share in that week or in that month or in whatever time period you're planning for. After that like task, you can then start to plan each of your posts. So you've got a rough idea. Then spend an hour or whatever it is, however long it takes you, and plan out each post. You're like, okay, on Tuesday, I'm going to do X post. On Wednesday, I'm going to do X post. On Friday, I'm going to do X post, and plan out each post and like the main message of that post. And then after that, we can start to get a little bit more granular, start to do like batch out like a whole week worth of your text for your post. So say you're doing a carousel post or say you're doing a reel and say you're doing a static post, plan the text that's going to be on each of those designs. If you're doing a reel, you can plan that little text that's going to pop up on your reel. If you're doing a carousel post, plan the text that's going to be on that carousel, and the list goes on. And so planning the main point of each of those posts and planning the text of each of those posts can be a like task that you do. The next like task could be going in and writing your captions for each of your posts. You could go and literally like open up a Google document, and you could have a Google Doc open for this whole project, like have your inspiration at the top, have your planning, like you insert like a little table or something for planning each of your posts out, and kind of keep that going for each of your different tasks. And then you can get down to writing the caption for each task. And again, like writing captions is a big job, but if you sit down and do it all at once, you get in the groove. You get in the groove of like, okay, this is how I'm going to structure my content. This is what I've just shared about. It makes sense to share this next thing. Give yourself an hour and write all your captions. And then after that, we get to the designing. And once you've got all of this clarity, the reason I've stated all of these things, which are less to do with the design and more to do with marketing, is because you can't have a good design unless you have a good strategy. You could do a pretty post, but if it's not actually aligned with what you're trying to do in your business as a whole, and you know that it's not going to attract your audience, or it's not going to serve them, or it's not selling a particular product, there's not really any point in posting it. It's just filling up space. And there's enough other things going on in the world. You don't need to be filling up space just for the sake of it. You want to be strategic. And so when you've got the clarity of all of these previous tasks, designing your post is a lot easier because one, you've got your inspiration, two, you've got your text sorted, and you know what the purpose is. So there's less like, what am I going to do for this one? I don't understand. Oh, I could do it. You've got this idea, you can just go straight in. And so that is your final like task, is actually going in and doing the design, like getting up the designs for like the 7 posts that you're working on or the 10 posts you're working on, and just smash out the designs. And you can just copy and paste the text because you've already strategically thought about that. Almost pretending like if I was doing, like my studio can work with you in 2 ways, for example, like you can say to us, I just want a blank batch of templates that I can just plug and play anything I want, or I want this particular post designed. And so pretend you're briefing a designer when you're doing this, like what text would you need to give a designer for them to design your graphics? So doing all that work for you first will make the designing stage so much faster and so much easier. All right, so my next tip, which saves so much time, is to have your brand sorted. I talk about this in 1,000 of my other videos and podcasts, so I won't go into it now, but in essence, if you have your branding sorted, like your colors, your fonts, your overall style, your brand elements, and your photos, designing your actual graphics is so much faster. Like I can't explain to you how easy it is to design a graphic once you've got all those things sorted. You no longer have to ask yourself, what color am I going to use today? Or what font will work with this? Those decisions I made ages ago when I made my brand. Now I can just apply those to each of these posts. And when your text is already done, whack your text on, apply the fonts and colors, and you're halfway there. If you want to really, really amp this up, if you've got Canva Pro, I highly recommend utilizing the brand kit. There's a brand kit in there which you can access every single time you're designing a graphic. And so if you open up a design and you go to brand over here, you can see I've got brand templates, I've got my brand logos, my brand colors, my brand fonts, my brand elements, my brand photos. They're all in here for me to quickly access. I can just add in the photo. I can just quickly add in a font. I can quickly add in my brand logo, and it's all there without me having to find it and search for it. So if you've got Canva Pro, highly recommend actually taking the time to add these in. Another thing you can add to your brand kit is brand templates. So you can see up here, I've got some brand templates in here. I've got a couple of clients in here as well because I show them how to add their brand templates in too. But in essence, if I click on this, I've got heaps of social media templates already done. And if I clicked on this, it would add it into my design so I can edit it straight away. So what I recommend doing is never, ever starting from scratch. Okay, that was too many evers. You can start from scratch occasionally, but I really recommend either finding your own templates or using Canva's templates. If I go over to the design panel over here, there is hundreds of designs that I can use already that I don't have to start from scratch. So say, for example, I was doing a presentation slide on 5 tips. I could literally write 5 tips in here and it will bring up some templates that are going to help me to lay that out. I might want to go into this one here and you can see there's some tip layouts. I could click on this one here and it's got like 5 different ways I could do this kind of thing. And I could then apply my branding, which is in my brand kit, straight to that. And I haven't had to start from scratch. I just go and insert my text and I'm done. So even as a graphic designer, I rarely start from scratch. I use Canva's templates or I use my own templates that I've made so I can just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That doesn't mean that your Instagram grid should be the same design over and over again, but it does mean that you can use the same design every 5 or 10 posts because it's not looking too repetitive when you do that. So I recommend looking at, if you're doing social media, what posts are you doing really regularly? Are you regularly doing testimonial posts? Are you regularly doing like a 5-tip post? Are you randomly doing podcast promotion? Whatever it is, create yourself your own batch of templates that you can use over and over again with the content that you're using over and over again. So if you want to add something to your brand template, all you need to do is have your design open. So whether it's a presentation slide or whether it's a social media post, have that design open with all of the templates in it and press share. And then you can see this brand template option. This will then add that to your brand kit, to that top panel, and you can access that at any time. Like anytime you open up a new presentation slide, I can just insert that slide layout straight in. If you can't see your brand template option here, just click more and it should be in this option. If you really can't find it, search template here and you'll see brand template option here. The next thing that really speeds up your design process is knowing how to use the program. This seems really boring, but like I was trying to use a program I'd barely used last night, for example, and it took me so long. Not only was it taking me forever, it was really, really frustrating and not enjoyable. And it meant that I didn't want to do the task that I was doing. So what I recommend doing is either educating yourself if you're doing your graphics, or if you've got a VA doing it for you, maybe help them upskill into how to use Canva. Spending an hour or two learning how to use Canva is going to really speed up your process overall. So say, for example, it's taking you half an hour to design a post. If you spent 2 hours now learning how to use Canva, designing those posts might take you 10 minutes each time. And so it only takes you designing like 5 posts and you've already brought back the time you spent learning how to use the program in the first place, let alone for all the designs you're going to create in the future. Plus it makes it more enjoyable. So I highly recommend that. So obviously a really easy way to upskill is by looking at my YouTube tutorials. There is a heap there. You can kind of find a lot of things that you need. But if you're looking for something more succinct and steps you through in a really ordered way, I do also have a course. This is the inside of it. I don't show you this to everyone all the time. This is the inside of my course and it steps you through the actual foundations you need for designing for your business, as well as Canva tutorials. And like in here, I have a whole range of tutorials for everything you need to design for your business, of me going through the things you need to think about and how to actually do it in Canva and all the things you need to make sure that you're doing to have that work well. So if you're ever looking for help with that, there's a link in the bio to the course. And the final little tip is a really easy one, but it's actually adding Canva to your phone. So Canva has a mobile app. This is actually 2 tips in one. Do not do main big designs on your phone. It will take you way too long and be really frustrating, but Canva does have a great phone app. And so what I recommend doing is creating those templates or creating a base for your designs. And so when you have a really great idea on the go, you can actually just whip out your phone, open one of the templates you've already created where the design is practically done, maybe change the color, edit the text, and you can post that out straight away. And so like for me, I'm often not at my computer. I'm looking after a 4-month-old. And so I can just do that while I'm feeding him, or I can do that while I'm out watching my toddler at swimming lessons. And so you can have this on your phone ready to go to suit you in your busy lifestyle. Having those templates there that you've made on your computer and a combination of then having them on your mobile app on your phone means that you can post on the go. You can respond to things as they happen in your life, in your business, and the things that are happening in the world at that time. So those are some really strategic ways that you can save time in your own business. Now, a big part of saving time is actually knowing what your branding is and knowing the strategy behind things. And if you're not unsure where the gaps are in your marketing and where the gaps are in your brand, I've created a checklist for you so you can audit your own brand. It's got every single part that you need to be thinking about to have a really strategic, really successful, really consistent brand for your business. And you can get that checklist for free. I'll pop a link in the caption below, and pretty much it's going to be a game changer to help you think through what's missing in your brand. Is your brand a showstopper, or is it really struggling to shine, and the elements you're missing so you can make the relevant tweaks that you need to have a high demand brand instead. So thank you for joining me for that video. I hope you found it so useful. Let me know what your favorite tip was in the comments, and any other tips that you might have to share with others. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Enjoy that checklist. I'll pop it in the link below now.